Hello Seahawks, welcome to your first flipped classroom. Today you're going to be taking notes on 1.1, integers and absolute value. And this should be a pretty simple concept for you. If you notice, you should have these notes in front of you. Everything is blank and you're going to just be filling in as I fill in. So everything that you see me writing, you should also be writing onto your paper. Okay, if you have any questions at any time, you can jot your question down on the side of your paper. If you need to pause the video at any time, pause the video at any time. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, the first term we have is integer. And the definition of integer, and you're going to write this right underneath where it says definition, is all natural numbers and their opposites. All natural numbers and their opposites. That's the definition of an integer. Okay, so what that is, your natural numbers are the numbers that you, oops, sorry, just made a little typo there. You're going to hear me make mistakes all the time. Spelling is a big one that I make mistakes on. All natural numbers and their opposites. Okay, a natural number. Now maybe you're not sure of what a natural number is. A natural number is the numbers that you naturally started learning when you were little. And your mom, your dad, your sister, your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, whoever was counting with you, when you were 1 year old, they started counting with the number starting with 1. They didn't start with 0. They didn't start with -5. You learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe even just 1, 2, 3. So those are your natural numbers. Okay, so your natural numbers are the numbers that you naturally learn when you're little. An integer is all those natural numbers and their opposites. Okay? Natural numbers are positives, negatives, and zeros. So I'm going to just put positives, negatives, and 0 is included in that. I'm going to write out the word 0. Okay, those are all your natural numbers. Your examples of natural numbers. Okay, we could start with -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and I could go on and on and on in either direction with this. So I'm going to put these 3 little dots showing that I could keep going in the negative direction and I could keep going in the positive direction. Okay, so we have all the negatives, all the whole numbers, and 0 are included in integers. Okay, make sure that you have that all written down under your example for integer. The next definition is absolute value. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. So write that down for your definition. The distance a number is from 0. Everything I write, you can write exactly the same way. The distance a number is from 0. Okay, and in the example, I'm going to show you what that means, and it's actually very simple. The distance a number is from 0 is the absolute value. Okay, first of all, there's a symbol for absolute value, and it looks like this. It has these little, like, goalie marks on either side, okay? So that question is asking you the absolute value of 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2, because 2 is 2 away from 0. Okay, and then if I gave you the absolute value of -2, the absolute value of -2 is also 2 because it is 2 away from 0. Okay, some people think absolute value is the opposite. It's not. It's just how far away it is from 0. So if it's the absolute value of -2, the answer is 2. The absolute value of +2, the answer is 2. It doesn't matter if it's a positive or negative inside those two lines. And we're going to show you some examples of this to practice. Okay, looking at your next 8 examples. The next question is asking you, you're finding the absolute value of all 8 of them. What is the absolute value of 12? How far away is 12 from 0? Okay, so there, I'm gonna put a number line on here for you, and if you have room, you could do this, and I just want to show you why. Okay, let's say this was, I don't know, we'll go 6 and 12 here. And then I'm going to go -6 and -12 here, just counting by 6s, okay? And the absolute value of 12, well, here is 12 on the number line. How far away is it from 0? It's 12 away from 0. So the absolute value of 12 would be 12. Your answer is 12. Okay, question number 2. How far away is -12 from 0? What's the absolute value of -12? Well, this is 12 also away from 0. So the absolute value of -12 is also 12. Okay, I'm not going to go through and draw the number line out to -24. I think you should have the idea. The absolute value of -24. How far away is -24 from 0? -24 is 24 away from 0. Number 4, the absolute value of 0. How far away is 0 from 0? The answer is 0. It's right there on 0. It's nowhere away from it. Okay, now what you should do is you should pause your video and you should do the next 4 on your own and see how you do on your own, and then check your answers and resume the video. Okay, so we have the absolute value of -4. How far away is -4 from 0 on the number line? There's that, you hear that Buster in the background. That's why he's a Buster. Not Bailey. My good dog Bailey is a good boy. Okay, so here's my number line just to show you again, and I'm again not going to do this for everyone. Here's -4 on the number line. How far away is it from 0? It's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 away from 0. So the absolute value of -4 is +4. The absolute value of -7. How far is -7 from 0 on the number line? It is 7 away from 0. Question number 7. The absolute value of 8. How far away is 8 from 0 on the number line? It is 8 away from 0. And the last one, number 8, how far away is -8 from 0? What's the absolute value of -8? The absolute value of -8 is 8. So it's actually very simple, but people tend to forget what it means or what even those bars mean on there. It's absolute value. Okay, for the next part, we're going to be comparing integers and comparing absolute values, and we're going to be using the less than, the greater than, or the equal to sign. Okay, so first I want to get straight what those symbols are. I know when you were younger, you learned that the alligator ate the bigger number, or I don't know. You learned a lot of neat things, but they didn't really. If you didn't really learn what each symbol was, you need to now. Okay. So the first symbol that you need to fill in, and if you'd like to pause the video and try to fill them in on your own, and then resume the video, you can do that. Okay. The first symbol is the less than symbol. And without any numbers, you don't know which one's eating the big number. If there's no number, you need to know which symbol means less than. Okay, and the symbol that means less than is this symbol. Okay, now I like to think of that if you were to just turn that symbol just a little bit, it actually makes an L for less than, okay? So if you think of it like a crooked L, it's less than, okay? And then this symbol would be greater than. I know all of you should. It'd be silly if you didn't. This is your equal to symbol, okay? And then you also have, I'm just going to go over these and we won't be using these, but that's okay. Less than or equal to, that gives you the line underneath it. And the last one is greater than or equal to, okay? But it is very important that you know the difference between the less than sign and the greater than sign. Okay, now we're going to use those symbols to compare these integers, okay? For number 9, we have the absolute value of -5 and 4. We want to fill in the symbol greater than, less than, or equal to. First, you need to find the absolute value of -5, and I like to just write these below, even though it's nice and simple. The absolute value of -5 is 5. How far away is -5 from 0? It's 5 away from 0, and so we're comparing 5 and 4, okay? So we're going to plug in which symbol here. 5 is greater than, less than, or equal to 4. We're going to plug in the greater than symbol, and there's my greater than symbol, okay? Then we're going to do number 10, the absolute value of 8. I'm sorry, no it's not. It's 8, and the absolute value of -8. Okay, well, 8 is 8. And the absolute value of -8, how far away is 8 from 0, or -8 from 0? It is 8 away from 0. So we're comparing 8 and 8. Is it greater than, less than, or equal to? Well, 8 is equal to 8. Okay, let's try the next two. If you'd like to pause the video, you may, and try those on your own. Okay, number 11, we have the absolute value of 4 and 3. How far away is 4 from 0? The absolute value of 4 is 4, and then we have 3. Is 4 greater than, less than, or equal to 3? We should all know 4 is greater than 3. Okay, for number 12, this one's a little tricky, and maybe you shouldn't have tried that on your own if you did, but that's okay. Absolute value is like a grouping symbol. It's like a parenthesis in a way. You're going to do what's in the absolute value first, then find the absolute value of your, in this case, difference. Okay, so first we're going to do 7 minus 5. Find the difference between 7 and 5. Well, 7 minus 5 is 2. Okay, so now you're going to find the absolute value of 2, which is 2. And this may seem silly that I'm writing this all out, but I want it to be clear in the order that you're going to be doing this. So, is the absolute value of 7 minus 5 greater than, less than, or equal to 4? Well, 7 minus 5 is 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. So 2 is less than 4, and you'd fill in that less than symbol. The next question reads, while playing a game, you move back 4 spaces with your roll of the number cube. Your friend moves forward 7 spaces. Write each amount as an integer. This is what the question's asking you. It's asking you to write each amount as an integer. That's it. There's no addition or subtraction involved here. You're just writing it as an integer. Okay, so how are you going to write move back 4 spaces? Okay, moving back 4 spaces written as an integer, and I'm just going to write that out. Move back 4 spaces, would that be a positive or a negative integer? That would be a negative integer, and since you're moving back 4 spaces, it would be -4. Okay, moving forward 7 spaces, would that be a positive or a negative? Well, moving forward, think about playing a game, is a positive, so that would be a +7. So technically your answers for number 13 are -4 and +7. It's that simple. A lot of people confuse that, think they have to add or subtract. No, they're asking you, what is the integer? That's it. Moving back is a negative, -4 if you're moving back 4, and moving forward 7 would be a positive, and that's +7. Try the next one on your own. While playing a game, you move back 8 spaces with your roll on the number cube, and your friend moves forward 4 spaces. We're going to write those numbers as integers. Very simple. Okay, moving back 8 spaces, would that be a positive or a negative? That would be a negative. You're moving back. -8. And forward 4 spaces, would that be a positive or a negative? That would be a positive 4. So your answers for number 14 are -8 and positive 4. And I'm putting that positive symbol in front of the 4. Obviously, positive numbers, we don't usually have the positive, but just to clarify what the answer is, positive or negative for these, I'm putting it there. Okay, and for this last part, you're just going to be ordering the values from least to greatest. Now, I am going to tell you the best way to do this so you don't make any silly mistakes. Okay, the first thing you should do is you should find the absolute value of the numbers that they're asking you to find the absolute value for. So number 15, it's asking you -7. We're just going to bring that down. The absolute value of 4, how far away is 4 from 0? It's 4. The absolute value of -5, how far away is -5 from 0? It's 5. 6, just bring that down, and the absolute value of -2. How far is -2 from 0? It's 2. Then you take the numbers and you put them in order from least to greatest. And always read this, always read this carefully, because sometimes it says greatest to least, sometimes it says least to greatest. It's there to trick you. Okay, so now which number there is the lowest? Think of money. What's the least amount of money that you could have? The least amount, it's always easier to think in money. The least amount of money you're going to have is -7. And as I write the numbers, I cross it out. This way I don't use anything twice. I don't get confused. The next lowest amount would be 2. Okay, then we have 4, and then 5, and then 6. Okay, and there are your numbers ordered from least to greatest. Let's try number 16. First, you're going to find the absolute value of each number. Okay, the absolute value of 3, how far away is 3 from 0? It's 3. And then we have 0. Absolute value of -5 is 5. Then we have a -6, just bring that down. And the absolute value of -7, how far is -7 from 0? It's 7. Now we're going to order these from least to greatest. The lowest number here would be -6. Then the rest of them are positive, except for we have this 0. And then we'll do 3. And then 5. And then 7. And I would just check that over, making sure it is from least to greatest, which it is. Okay, and the next one, maybe you want to try that on your own and see how you do, and then check your work. Okay, I have the absolute value of -13 is 13. Then we have a -15. We're just going to bring that down. The absolute value of -17 is 17. That's 17 away from 0. Then we have a -22. And the absolute value of 2. How far away is 2 from 0? That would be 2. Okay, now we have to order them from least to greatest. The bigger the numbers, when we have positives and negatives, we get confused. What is the least amount of money you could have? If you were negative money, the lowest amount you're going to owe would be -22. Okay, then we have -15, and those are always the hardest to order. And then we go to the positives, which are a lot easier. 2. And then 13, and then 17. And there's our answer there for number 17. Okay, and this last part here is just asking you to simplify the expression. Let's talk about the word simplify. You're going to see that a lot. Simplify is a fancy word for solve. Oops. Okay. So whenever you're asked to simplify something, you're just solving. Sorry about my handwriting there. Okay, so we're solving. What is the absolute value of -18? Now, there is a little something tricky in some of these, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, the absolute value of -18. How far away is -18 from 0? would be 18. So your answer for 18 is 18. Okay, now 19, it looks like it's the same question, but do you see this little negative symbol right there? Okay, that's like almost like you just need to bring that negative down. So I'm going to bring my negative down, then I'm going to find the absolute value of negative 18. How far away is negative 18 from 0? It is 18 away from 0. Okay, same thing here. We have our negative symbol. We're going to bring that down. So it's a negative, absolute value of 14. How far away is 14 from 0? It is 14. So it's actually a negative 14 because we brought down our negative. And number 21, again, we're going to bring down that negative and the absolute value of negative 14. How far away is negative 14 from 0? It is 14 from 0. And the answer is a negative because we brought down our negative. I'm just going to draw some lines here if you want to do that on your paper, just to separate those 4 problems. Okay, if you have any questions, if you have room at the bottom of your paper, you could write them down if you wrote them down as you went. And then we will discuss this tomorrow in class. And have a great night. Thank you.